Sometimes faith isn't about miracles or revelations. Sometimes it's just a single flame that refuses to die. A quiet light trembling in the dark. Kept alive by someone who simply couldn't let it fade. There are places where it feels like God once walked. In the breath of the wind. In the flicker of a candle. In the silence that still remembers his voice. This is a story about a man who once found such a place, where the last candle was still burning. At the edge of an old monastery, long abandoned and half-collapsed, stood a small stone chapel. Its roof had fallen in. Its walls were covered with moss. And its wooden doors groaned with every gust of wind. No one went there anymore. Except one man. His name was Andrew. Every Sunday morning, when the mist still lingered over the fields, he walked the narrow path to that forgotten chapel. He carried a small candle and a box of matches. He would sit on the cold stone floor, light the flame, and simply sit in silence. He did this for years. The monastery was empty, but within those cracked walls, there still lived a peace that seemed to breathe with the heartbeat of God. Andrew wasn't a monk. He lived an ordinary life. Worked hard. Got tired. Argued sometimes. And often doubted. But every Sunday, without fail, he came back to that place. Because somehow, it helped him remember why he still believed. Many years ago, he had lost his wife. Illness came suddenly, and took her gently but swiftly, leaving behind an emptiness so vast that even prayer felt meaningless. For a long time, he couldn't look at the light. Everything reminded him of her. A sunbeam through the window. The smell of bread. The ringing of church bells. He stopped going to church. Stopped talking to God. But one sleepless night, he felt something. Not a voice. More like a quiet pull inside his chest. A whisper that said, "Go where the light is." He didn't understand. But he got up, put on his coat, and walked through the dark field, toward the ruins of the old monastery. There, inside the chapel, amid dust and broken stones, he saw it. A single candle, still burning. Flickering. Weak. But alive. He stood there for a long time. Then sat beside it. And began to cry. From that night on, he returned every Sunday. The original flame had long gone out. But he kept bringing new candles. Each time he lit one, it felt as though something deep within him was being rekindled too. Years passed. His face grew softer. His heart calmer. He no longer asked, why? He simply came. And that was enough. One year, a young priest arrived in town. He heard rumors about an old man who walked to the abandoned monastery every week to light a candle in the ruins. Curious, he went with him one cold morning. When they stepped inside, the air was cool and silent. On the broken altar, a small flame danced. The priest asked, "Why do you keep lighting this candle? There's no one left here to see it." Andrew smiled. "You're wrong, Father. There is someone here. I don't come to be heard. I come to remember that he still is." The young priest said nothing. He sat beside Andrew. And for a long while, they just watched the candlelight tremble, but never go out. Years later, Andrew passed away quietly in his sleep. When people buried him, no one knew that he had ever gone to that chapel. But the following Sunday, someone noticed something strange. Inside the old ruins, a candle was burning again. And then the next week. And the next. Soon, people began visiting the chapel. Not to speak, but to sit, to breathe, to remember. No one said who started it, but everyone knew. That faith had remained there, in the echo of a man who refused to let the last light go out. Sometimes faith isn't a miracle. It's not an answer, or a sign from heaven. Sometimes it's just one trembling flame that someone keeps alive, even when they can't see the reason anymore. Maybe each of us carries such a candle inside. Small, fragile, but alive. And if we choose not to let it die, then no matter how dark the world becomes, there will always be light.